Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to look at calculations that you can be asked that involve these special types of triangles. So here, this question here is a typical example of that. So they'll give you a triangle and then they'll ask you to work out what the angle is. So you need to be able to, first of all, identify the type of triangle that you're working with. So if we look at this one here, we can see that it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so this side and this side are equal to each other, and therefore the angles at the bottom here, or the angles opposite the equal sides, has to be equal. Okay, so we can say that this angle and this angle is 70 degrees. So this angle here is 70, and we can call this angle up here y. And we want to try and work out what y is, and then if we know what y is, we can work out what x is, because x and y have to add up to 180 degrees. So how can we go about solving this? So what we can do is we can use algebra. So the three angles in here have to add up to 180 degrees. So we can say that. So we can say that. Um, so 70 and 70 is 140 plus y. Equal 180 degrees. Okay, so they have to add up to 180 degrees because it's a triangle. What we can do now is we can use algebra to find out what y is. So we can minus 140 from the left side, minus 140 from here, and then what we find out then is that y is equal to 180 minus 140, which is equal to 40 degrees. So that's that. That's what y is. Okay, so this angle up here. Now what we want to do is we want to find out what x is. So if y is equal to 40, then x plus y have to equal 180. So let me just bring this up here. Okay, so we can say that x plus y both have to add up to 180 degrees. We know that y so y is equal to 40 degrees. So we've worked that from here. So we can say that x plus 40 degrees is equal to 180. Now we can work out what x is. So we can just minus 40 from both sides. And x then is going to be equal to 140. Okay, so that's that. So that's your answer if you like to the first part. You're trying to work out what x is. So the next part then, if we look at this question here, so again we want to identify the type of triangle that we're working with. So this, okay, so this triangle here, again we can see it's an isosceles triangle. Why? Because this side and this side are equal to each other. So therefore this angle and this angle have to be equal to each other. They're going to be equal to 40 degrees. Okay, so this angle in here is equal to 40 degrees. So then therefore this angle up here, so the three of these angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So this angle in here is going to be 40 degrees. That's going to be 40. And if we call this angle up here, we'll call it y. So again, we can use algebra to figure out what the angle y is. So we can say that 40 plus 40 plus y all have to add up to 180. So 40 and 40 is 80 degrees plus y, and they all have to add up to 180. So now we can solve for y. So what we want to do is we want to get y on its own, so we can minus 80 from this side and minus 80 from this side. So these will cancel out, and y is going to be equal to 100 degrees. Okay, so y is equal to 100 degrees. Then what we want to do is we want to work out what x is. So that's what we're trying to work out. So what we can say is that x plus y, so x degrees plus y degrees, both of those have to add up to 180 degrees. Why does it have to add up to 180 degrees? Because this here is a straight line, and these two angles on the straight line have to add up to 180 degrees. So then what we can say then is that we know that y is equal to 100 degrees, so we can just substitute this in here. So therefore x plus 100 is equal to 180. So now we can minus 100 from here, minus 100 from here, and then x is going to be equal to 80 degrees. Okay, so that's that one. So this angle in here is equal to 80 degrees. And then the last one then that we want to look at is this one here, and it's asking us what x is. So again, we have to look at this and identify the angles that we have, identify the types of triangles we have. So we can see here that this is an isosceles triangle, this one here, and this one here is also an isosceles triangle. So therefore, this angle and this angle are going to be equal to each other. Okay, so this is going to be also equal to 30 degrees. And we can say that this angle and this angle are equal to each other. Now we don't know them, but we can work them out. So we can work out what this angle in here is. Okay, so we'll call this angle in here y. So we can work out what that's equal to. So because these three angles in here have to add up to 180. So 30 and 30 is 60 degrees plus y is equal to 180. So now what we can do is we can get y on its own, so we can minus 60 from here and minus 60 from here. Okay, so that will leave us with y is equal to 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. Okay, so y in here is equal to 120 degrees. Now, if we call this, look at this angle here, so y and this angle, we call it z. So y and z, because this is a straight line, they have to add up to 180. So we can say that y plus z have to add up to 180. So y is equal to 120. So we can say that 120 plus z is equal to 180 degrees. Now what we can do is we can solve for z. So we can just minus 120 from here and minus 120 from here. So these will cancel out, and I'll be left with z is equal to 180 minus 120, which is equal to 60 degrees. Okay, so z then, so y is equal to 120, and z, this angle in here, is equal to 60. So now we can work, we know that, so this angle and this angle here, this also has to be 60 degrees. So why is that 60? Because this angle in here is an isosceles triangle, so therefore if this is 60 degrees, then this is 60 degrees. And now what we know is that x, so these three angles in here have to add up to 180. So therefore, and I'll do this part up here, let me just change the color. So if we want to work out what x is, so x, so we can say that this angle 60 and this angle 60, which is 120. So 120 plus, so 120 plus x degrees is equal to 180. So now we can get rid of the x here, or get rid of the 120. So we can minus 120 from here and minus 120 from here. So these will cancel out, and I'll be left with x degrees is equal to 180 minus 120, which is equal to 60 degrees. So therefore we can say that this angle here is equal to 60 degrees. So this is like a typical kind of calculation that you can be asked when working with these special types of triangles.